Live. What's up, y'all? What's poppin'? Happy Friday. I'm out here grinding and one timing in these Wilmington streets. It's just like a mini Philly. I don't care what nobody say. Wilmington and Philly is just alike. It's just a smaller version of it. Anyway, so this new, it's not new, but this case with Cassie and everything that's been going on, that shit's been having a lot of people in their feelings about this whole scenario. And it should. People should be in their feelings. They should be aggravated. They should be annoyed. They should be bothered by it. Puffy is a savage. He's violent. He's controlling. He's a narcissist. Like, he's a bunch of things. And I kind of sensed this about him like way earlier on. Even when he was making the music, he had the biggest artists in the world, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, Biggie, and all of these guys. But it was always just something like, bro, something I don't like about this guy. Never couldn't really put my fingers on it. He just seemed like a sneaky slime ball type of cat. Like, I just couldn't put my finger on it. But you don't know him, you never met him, so you can't really, you don't have nothing to go off of. You could just go off of what you see and hear, and that's about it. But I've always kind of felt like, it's like this dude feels like a slime ball. I don't know, but everybody's upset about what's going on, and they have a right to be upset. I'm upset, as a guy with daughters. I got daughters, and so when I seen this, one of the first things I thought about is like, what would you do if your daughter was in a relationship with a guy like Puffy, right? And the first thing that I would think to myself is that, bro, you're probably a failure as a father. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. Like, if your daughter is a stripper, like, all jokes aside, I know like Chris Rock made some jokes about that or whatever. If your daughter is a stripper, or if she's in an abusive relationship, you kind of failed as a father, all jokes aside. Because what about your household told you that it's okay to be in a relationship like that, where your man is a narcissist, he's controlling, he's abusive, he's disrespectful, he violates you physically and emotionally, right? What about me taught you that that's okay? Because you didn't come from a household where your mom was being beat up or anything like that. You ain't never see me put my hands on a woman ever since you've ever been around me. I might have popped my kids a few times because they was being bad, but you never see me actually abuse a woman ever. So what about me? Where did I go wrong in my parenting? That's probably one of the first things that I would ask. You know why? Because I'm accountable. So when your kids start doing things that, outside of what you taught them, you got to start asking yourself, like, well, maybe I didn't teach them properly. Maybe I was wrong somewhere in my parenting. I screwed something up somewhere. So now she thinks this is okay to do. So that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is get my daughter all the way away from this monster. Puffy is not somebody that you could just walk up on and handle business with. Obviously, he's wealthy. You don't have access to him like you do a regular guy, like every day. If it's a regular degular dude that you can see and go to his job and handle business, and that's what we gonna do. But Puffy obviously ain't somebody that you could just run down on and just catch him and handle business. That's not how that's gonna work. So there's other ways that you got to go about doing things, right? But even though Puffy was all of those things, he was violent, he was controlling, he was a manipulative, he was all of those things, right? But you know who wasn't? You know who wasn't any of those things? Ryan Leslie. Why is that important? Ryan Leslie was who Cassie was going with before Diddy. She ended up dumping Ryan Leslie for Puffy. Ryan Leslie, super talented. R&B singer, writer, producer. This dude's a musical genius. If you never heard him, go online. You can see him make songs from scratch on YouTube. from beginning to end, playing every instrument in the song. This dude is brilliant. Ryan Leslie, look him up. I'm sure y'all heard of him, but he's a beast, right? So anyway, you left the pup and you wanted to go with the big dog, right? He had money, he had influence, he had everything that you thought your heart desired until you really got close to him and you really got to know him. Ryan Leslie, yeah, that's cute. You know, you got your little R&B thing going on, right? So this is Ryan Leslie, but this is Puffy. Puffy is like bigger than life. And I really feel like she wanted to be a part of that. Like a lot of most aspiring rappers and singers and actresses, they want to be in the spotlight and all of that stuff. I get it. She was young. I understand that, right? But with that comes a huge price tag that she wasn't prepared to pay. She saw the spotlight, she saw the money, she saw the notoriety. Oh, I'm about to get a record deal. I'm about to be with the biggest artist in the entire world. That is Puffy Combs, right? And that's what she was doing. Then he started manipulating you and molding you into what he really wanted you to be. Yeah, babe, look, we gonna have sex in the car today, right? We gonna have some fun. We gonna do something crazy tonight. Let's have sex in the car, right? Then we gonna go on the balcony. We gonna wow out over there. You know what I'm saying? Let's go on the balcony. Let's wow out. Let's get on this private jet. We gonna get it in on a private jet. We gonna go to the beach. We gonna take you to Cancun. We gonna go to Tulum. We gonna go to Greece. We gonna go to all of these different places around the world and just wow out and have crazy wild sex and do whatever we. You know what I'm saying? We gonna do whatever we want. Then you know what? Man, let's turn up a little bit more. Try this coke real quick. You don't gotta do too much. Just take this little bump. You know what I'm saying? You like that coke is right. The coke is good, right? Take a sip of this Cristal. Try this champagne over here. They got this new champagne. Right now we gonna turn up a little bit more. Hey, listen, I got this girl over here. She likes girls too. Won't you? Yeah, it's me. You my boo. I got you. Let's have some fun. We turning up. All right, Puffy, no problem. Okay, she just gonna do you for now. You don't gotta do nothing. Just lay back and chill. Right? And it's escalating and escalating and escalating. You went from not drinking to drinking hard liquor to drinking champagne and sniffing coke, traveling all around the world, doing all of these crazy things with no limits. And the one time that you said that you didn't want to do something or you tried to leave or disobey anything he said, he tried to beat you half to death for that. Smacked you in your head, punched you in your face, beat you like a slave. And you stayed. Then people will say, oh, well, you know how powerful it is, how hard it is to get away from a man that's powerful and this, that, and the third. No, I don't. And I don't think y'all do either. The average person has not been around that type of person with that kind of power. So what are you talking about? I don't know and you don't know either. But I know how much flights cost. And I think at some point she had to make the difference between keeping money, being a celebrity, flashy, pursuing your goal, right? Being rich and being abused, or being broke and being free. I'm gonna say that again. She had the choice between being rich, wealthy, successful, and abused, and being poor and being free. And I believe that she chose to be wealthy, rich, and abused. I know that's gonna be a hard pill for some of y'all to swallow, and I get it. But I believe in accountability. I'm so sorry. I know that word is like kryptonite to some of y'all. Oh, she was a young girl. She was manipulated. All of that's true. All of that's true. All of that's true. But I just don't believe at some point you didn't have a couple $1,000s of your own to go and get the fuck up out of there. I'm so sorry. I just don't believe that. I don't. And I know Puffy is powerful. He is a monster. He got people all over the globe that could track you down. I get that. I really do. I really do. But unless this nigga got a fucking tracking device embedded in your ass, you could have found a way to get the fuck away from that man. I just don't believe that you just could not find a way to get away from him. I don't. I'm sorry. At some point, we get to say Puffy is a monster. He did all of this nasty shit. And I believe that he should be punished for every fucking thing that he did. I think that he should be responsible for every single thing that he did. What he did to that young lady was disgusting. That video in the hotel when he was kicking her in the face, bro. You was kicking that woman like a dog, bro, in her face, my nigga. Like, what? I seen this video, bro, and just became overwhelmed with rage. And that's saying it lightly, bro. That's saying it lightly. You know what I'm saying? And those of you that go as far as to say, oh, well, if you don't agree with this, that, and the third, you're supporting him. And no, the fuck we're not. Go to any page out here where men are saying free Puffy. Go to any page out here on the internet right now. Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Show me where men are saying collectively free Puffy. He's not guilty. Get him out of there. Most men are saying get him the fuck out of here. Put that nigga under the jail forever. Most men that deal with logic and common sense are saying get him out of here. Ain't nobody saying free Puffy. What we are saying is that it's not just Puffy. Hold people accountable for their actions, bro. What happened to her was disgusting. But what part of that are you taking responsibility for? You ain't do nothing wrong. At no point in time did you have the opportunity to leave. At no point in time was this all free. Was it ever free will? Did you ever not have a choice to do any of this stuff? Your first mistake, Cassie, was when you left a good guy for Puffy. You wouldn't have never had any of these problems. I doubt you would have had any of these problems with Ryan Leslie. I don't know Ryan Leslie personally. You know what I'm saying? I knew he grew up in the church. He was an R&B singer since he was like 15. I don't know this guy that do anything violent or anything crazy ever in his 25, 30-year career. Ever. So I really don't believe you would have had that same type of life with Ryan Leslie. Would you have been as wealthy? Probably not. But your mental state would have been in the right place, though. Your emotional state would have been in the right. You probably wouldn't have had to have gone to therapy. But because you wanted the money and the glitz and the glamour and the fame, that came with a price that you wasn't prepared to pay. And that goes for a lot of you young ladies, too. That goes for a lot of you young ladies that meet these drug dealers and these dudes in the streets and these trappers and these goons and all of this, and they running around with jewelry and money and they taking you all these different places. A lot of y'all are gonna meet your fate by being around these guys, because when those goons come for you, come for your man, and you in the car with them, they ain't gonna stop shooting because you there. They ain't gonna be like, oh, that's shorty, she cool. Nah, they gonna let everything off in the car. Every single shot off at you and him until both of y'all are dead. That's the kind of world that we live in. So as far as I'm concerned, this has to be a message to young women to watch out for these guys that are pursuing you, knowing how to manipulate you and control you, and knowing what you're attracted to, and basically getting your attention with money and cars and jewelry and stuff. This should be a lesson to all young ladies out there that these guys are just predators. ain't no other way to say it. Well, fathers and mothers, we have a responsibility too to teach our children differently. And we got to take some accountability for what our kids are getting into. And that's not to say you ain't going to teach your kids a certain way and that they just going to go out into the world and do their own thing. There's a lot of guys like that have come from 2-parent households and they just went straight into the streets because they was just attracted to that lifestyle. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you can't control your kids. A lot of times you can, though. And a lot of times we need to take responsibility and accountability for the way we raise our children. And if we do all the right things and they reach a certain age and be like, I'm not doing this no more, you've done your part. That just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But for the record, those of you that think men are supporting Puffy, I ain't say not one man on the internet support Puffy. What I did see is people saying Cassie is not innocent. Cassie wanted this lifestyle, some of this lifestyle. And I think that she bit off more than she could chew, to be honest with you. She wanted to go in there and get the money and the fame and have a record deal and be wealthy and rich and all of this stuff. She didn't know that she was going to be forced to give people oral sex. She didn't know she was going to be forced to be in orgies. She didn't know she was going to be forced to put, not be too graphic, but she didn't know she was going to be forced to do any of this disgusting stuff that's alleged to have happened. She wasn't anticipating any of that. She was like, we probably going to have some sex. We're going to drink. We're going to smoke. We're going to sniff some coke. We're going to get rich, and that's going to be that. Nah. Rich man, wealthy man lifestyle come with wealthy man problems. And that's what she got. And I don't mean to sound insensitive. I'm sorry that happened to her. But we got to take some responsibility and accountability. And that's all most of us are saying. That's all I'm saying. I can't speak for all men. But I'm saying that if you understood at some point what type of lifestyle you were in, you had an obligation to get away from that lifestyle. And at some point, I believe you had the ability to get away and you just chose not to. And you got to take some of that. You got to eat some of that. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's my take on the situation, man. I pray that all of you young ladies, man, smarten up. Mothers and fathers, raise your kids to the best of your ability. And take some accountability for their actions sometimes too. If you know that you genuinely did your very best or you're doing your very best to teach your kids the difference between right and wrong and keeping them safe, then you did what you could. At some point in time, they're going to become adults. They're going to have to make their own decisions. And that's going to be that. But the message I want you guys to get from all of this is one word. And I know to y'all it's like kryptonite. It's called accountability. Peace.